Okay, so we're on page Tov Kut Tzadi. Wait a minute, I moved the wrong place. Let's see. Okay, we're on page Tov Kuf Pei Daled. So up at the top of the page it says, V'hamshik habas kol. Rabbi Shimon, we were listening to a bas kol, and it continues on, and it says, V'amar avahov im tomar im lo yached begilu yisodos. If there was no het in terms of revealing the sodos, im came if man nistalko shlosha chaverim shechoyet tzadik gemurim. So we're back to the three that died. If there's no het, what did they die for? Tol chazi, come and see. He says because it's written like this. Shu ka'ayin masha kosov. This is a pasuk of Yeshua. Else Yeshua shakilo as me sheyivnecha be'ir Yericho, that he made a curse on anyone who would rebuild the city of Yericho. So what's Yericho got to do with the deaths of these tzaddikim? So b'bechori yasadeno, with its firstborn, you should. I don't know what yasadeno means yet. Of its ira yatzis de losehu. So let's get the pronunciation. It's, I guess you should found it with the son should be the founder. Let's see what he explains. Pirish the binyan ha'ir, when you place down the foundation. Yamos b'bechor bonav, the first of his sons will die. He says, so this is the curse. When you tear down the doors, Yamos sir, when you stand at the doors, that's when the youngest one will die. Lashon Malitza. That is, it requires, I guess, does a Malitza mean translation? I don't know. He's a kikiyot. Huh? What do you say, what?
It's like a poetic language. It's not literal.
Okay, yeah, okay, not literal. I'll write that in there. All right, it's not literal. Behind the kikiyot, Tikkun hagadol shall ha'idra. So here we're talking about the great Tikkun in the Idra. Because you always have to give some portion to Midas Adin. Where it says that those who are close to the I will sanctify them. So in other words, they were taken. This had to do with the time. He's making an interesting comparison. I'm really missing it to a certain extent. That they completed the construction of the mission that was completed. The Mishkan. Because Tamidim are like children. So it's like one say it's analogous to losing Nadav and Avihu. Rabbi Yosef ben Yaakov, Shechoya Godel al Tamidim, Huba Bechinas Bechor Binyan. So he's like the of the Bonim, I guess, the Por Habonim. He's the oldest son. Rabbi Yesi Shechoya Ha'akron Shabbatamidim. He was the least, or he was the last of the Tamidim. Who Bechinas Sir Habinyan Abonim. I'm sorry, Sir Abonim. He's the youngest of the sons. V'nimsa shebemises bechoro v'tzira. So in the death of the oldest and the youngest, shall Rabbi Shimon niskayim tikkun hagodol shall Idra. It actually fulfills and sustains the tikkun that takes place in the Idra, because his principle was that he says that something has to go to the side of din. V'gadei shelo tomer shemekol makom mitzad shlosha chaverim. So you should not think that there's a gezer and an einish on these three. That's why they died. So then he says like this: the be'aras sagi v'takif is dabku nafshoseicha b'shatadal the is nesivo. So let's read the English because I didn't practice enough. So the truth is that they were clinging, I guess it's Rabbi Mimram's word, they were davet, their souls were davet to the Ratzon Gadol v'chazak ma'od. So he says, Ha'es ratzon ha'elyon, the time of being accepted up above, shechoya lamala b'shar shel nilkahu nafsho seichem. Now, let's read this again. I'm sorry. He said, "V'kol shekain sheshlosha chaverim elu nizdavku nafsho seichem." Their souls were clinging lamala into worlds beyond. Baratzon goda v'chozek. That is what they wanted. They wanted that tremendously. Mitzada es ratzon, because they knew this was the time they could do that. The eighth ratzon the elyon, that they would be accepted up above. They would become able to come closer and closer. Shehoya lamala b'shas shenechluchu nafsho seichem, because what? Shehoya lamala, at the motion that were their souls, I guess they're saying, is were a very high place at the time, shanilkuchu nafsho seichem, when their neshamos were taken away from them. Excuse me, he said the nefashos. That means the life within their bodies. Their souls, he's telling you, are already in a tremendously high place of clinging to these really high worlds, but their bodies at this time, when their souls were taken. In other words, their physical souls. So they were killed, or they died with a kiss. And because why? Because they had such a tremendous, unbelievable taiva and cheshek, a desire, lihizdavik lamala, to cling to the Ein Sof. And so therefore there was no sad of din at all in regards to them. But everything had to do with the will. But he says the acceptability also that came from up above, that they were drawn into it. So their portion is a tremendous merit. Ashrei chelkam because they left this world in completion. They left this world in completion. As called Tikkunim, because all of the Tikkunim that needed to be done in this world, they completed them. And the Aliyah was for their neshamas. Be'ez histalkusim, at the time that they left, v'nimska shudach b'hoyushum din b'misasam chas v'sholem, and it comes out that there was no din in their death at all. So this is a question about revealing secrets and exactly what are the results, and he's telling you that there was no sin over here. Tana lamandam ba'od is galion milin, so ki ba'od shenisgalo elach hasodos hane'olamim, as Rabbi Shimon is revealing these secrets, and now which are so hidden, and that we're talking about here is regisho eloin v'tetayin. Here Gesho, so then there Bezam Hal Yonim Atomik Ki Divir Hasodos Hoy Bokim Umeirin Bakol Olamos. So I'm looking to see what he meant by here Gesho. So I guess they communicated between the two different worlds. Ki Divir Hasodos Hoy Bokim Bairin Bakol Olamos. They broke out. These sodas break out and shine in all of the worlds. Bakol Itar B'Masan B'Hamshim Almim. So he gives us what? 250 worlds. There are 250 worlds that this voice is coming out to, this communication, the olamos al yonim, because of the tikkun that took place in these olamos. The ham milim atikin the sata is galia. Because what? Shahare diver sodas, because the words of these secrets, atikin, these ancient secrets, or there were secrets of Atik, Nizgalo the Mata Ba'olam Hazer, are now being revealed into this world. In other words, we're reading this because of the fact that they revealed it. Ba'ad the Elin is Basmin Nafsho Saihu Ba'inin Milin. Uba'od Nishmo Sechem Shal Eloch Hashlosha Chaverim Nis Basmo V'nidbakur B'Shchina Lamala, because now they have come into a level of Devakus with the Shchina up above. And that happens at the time that they're saying these sodos. And that's the reason why, because as these things we're saying, with these secrets are being set out, they are dying, they are clinging to the Shechina, and as a result of that, their nefashos leave them with a kiss. So the shamas remain davuk to Shechina, The Yatsa, the Shmasa, but Mises and Shika, and their neshama, and the neshama actually left their bodies in the union of, he says, but Mises the Shika with the death called kissing. Below Choyam Isasam Ayedech b'Malach HaMavis, they didn't die as a result of the Malach HaMavis. The Iskasher b'Hachu Parsa. The Oz Niskasher b'Nashosechem, remember there's a Parsa over everybody's head. So Zvon Niskasher Nishbosecha b'Osa Masach, so that Masach that is over their head, that separates them from the world beyond physicality altogether. He says that Masa, they what was the word? They become tied to that. They stick onto it. Or paros. Okay, 1 second. Here we go. Okay, I was at the phrase at the bottom of the left column on page Tovkuf Pevav. Is kasher b'hachu parsa. Their neshamas became fixed onto that parsa. V'saz niskashru nishmosechem be'osa masach shel or hapros al chaverim. So there was a light that was spread over the chaverim, and their neshamos clung to it. Kamor la'el. V'natlin l'hu malachi Eloi, and then Allah malachim from up above came and took those neshamos. V'salkim lon la'ela, and they brought him up to a much higher place. Malachi elyo nasa nashosechem v'ha'lo sam lamala, and brought them up above. V'amai iling. So the question is, why these three? If it was that, you could ask the same thing about Nadav and Avihu, if that's what he's saying. V'shova amai ilan v'lama davka shlosh chaverim elu mesa. Why is it these three? Ve'elu b'shar chaverim no mesa, but the rest of them they didn't die. Kim tomer shehistalkusim b'misas neshika mora al malosam v'degefusam v'agodol shel shlosh chaverim elu. That the fact that they died in this beautiful way really shows you the cheshivas of these people and what a high level they are. Azai kasha, but then there's a problem. Because these two rabbis, two other ones, are on a much higher level than these three. So why didn't they go? But in other words, they were closer, more panimi to the Shechina than these three rabbis. But they didn't leave because they were so unbelievably tied in there. So but they, on the other hand, they didn't die. Let's see what he says. Because before this, they had really not been in deep devekas before. Kazu, let's say it's in order to be able to know, I guess what he's saying, how to get in and how to get out of this and to come back in peace. Now here's another thing he says. That the nature of their neshamos, which I'm taking as to be like a feminine quality, he says is or choser. So naturally it's going backwards anywhere. It's taking from down below and bringing up above. So he says that hoyu besod ha'or choser shel shlosha chasadim, of the three chasadim, hamagulim shadarkan la'alos lamalos. So these are the 2.5, I guess he means the 2.5 chasadim. I don't remember, was it 3? I don't know what it is that were above the part that were above the situm of the chest of Zeranpin, and to bring them up. Let me just see it again. Choser shel shlosha chasadim amagulim. So these are the ones that are in Gilui, la'alos lamala, to go upwards. So they have the ability to go upwards. V'hoyatzrik and shmira yisera, and as a result of that, they had to guard themselves even more. Ve'ela shlosha shelo hurgu lo dekana b'devekos lo yada lihishama. So in other words, I'm just curious about this idea of the or choser. Umagam ki shorish nishmas shlosh chaverim koyu besod or choser. So they were or choser. They would tend to go backwards anyway. Shal shlosh chasadim, and those are the three chasadim that are amagulim, that are revealed when they're in the body of Zera Anpin, la'alos lamala, to be able to go upwards, in fact, tikkunim, up above the situm. So therefore they needed to be, I guess, it was necessary to have a greater amount of shmira. But these three that were not customs, the koneh b'devekos, lo yalda l'hishama, they didn't really know how they had to guard themselves. And now when they come to such a tremendous devekos gedola, and they loved every single minute of it, shall gilui solis Idra, as these secrets are being said in the Idra, lo yaltzach b'manu, they didn't come out of it. El merov chashkam shechasigo devekos kazu, because all they wanted in their life, their whole desire, so that they should be able to reach this level of devekos kazu shelo hurguluba, but they weren't accustomed to doing this adat until this time. So here was their chance to be able to get into such a tremendously high place, and they want to leave it behind. So nidbeku nishmos and beyosa. So therefore, the neshamas of these, they were even more clinging, even more. V'alo besod or choser kafi shorish nishmasam, and they went back as a result of that, as the root of their shorish was to go backwards anyway. So they went back, and as a result of that, in other words, all of their movement was upwards. So all their movement was upwards, and that's what they liked. And they says on the Shika, and they say they developed and they stayed there up above with this death, which is called the death of kissing, being kissed by the Shekhinah. Now the rest of them, Masha Ein came Sharcha Chaverim, which is not the case of the other seven. Shagavar more golem, because they were already accustomed Mikodan to come to the states, but the Devekos to come into the Vekas and come back out of the Vekas and take Vekas. They had been practicing this, I guess. Lakach, so therefore, Gam Ata Niktasu b'Devekas Hagodolos, and now they're coming into this tremendous Devekas. Shall Gilu Isodas Idra V'Yatsa B'Mena B'Shalom, and as a result of that, the others were able to come out in peace. Amar Rebbe Shimon Kama Zakon Chulakechon Dehanith Lasa. Well, what a Kama Mu'ushar, how wealthy, how straight, and that's straight. Chelkam Shel Eluch HaShlosh Chaverim, how Mu'ushar, how proper or correct, is it right words? He says Shel Eluch HaShlosh of these three. Because when they left, they went to the Ma'ala al Yonah, the highest possible step. And they're happy as their portion. So Rebbe Shimon, let me see if I skipped the page. Alma begin doa. So in the next world, because of this, they're going to have a tremendous portion. Our portion, he says, happy is it for the next world, the world beyond the physicality. Because through them, this aliyah took place. So now another bas kol came out, and it said like this: Yatsa bas kol pam shenis came out second time. The bas of the chem shalom nigzurah b'misa al chaverim anusarim, that it's not a gezerah that caused them to die. And also to promise to the other people, I think he's talking about the seven now, that they would be able to remain alive. So all of now you are all blessed with this Devekas Hashem. So he says, Kolomar, that even though that you're clinging to Havaya, b'Devekus, you're all going to stay alive, meaning physically in this world. I think we lost him. And it's Tish'aira Rabbechaim v'lo tistalku b'bisis neshika mikorcha devekus kedugmas shlosh chaverim, and they're not going to die with this kiss like the others, but rather they're going to return to the world and they're going to be there. Okay, I just missed the last few words. I'll say it again, okay? Are you going?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start at the top of the column. Alma the Asi begin dosa there's of Ashrei Chalkeda the Olam Haba is our portion in the next world. The Vish Al Yadena because through us, Baal Lechem Aliyah Chazos comes this Aliyah. Nafa Kolatin Yon of and of the Baskol came out a second time, Yotze Baskol Pam Shenis, the Bas of Lechem to announce to them. Shalot nigzerach b'misa al chaverim and the sarim that there's no gezerah of misa on anybody else. Nobody else is going to die. V'lavticham and to promise them al kach sheyishara b'chaim that they could remain alive. B'amar lahem. V'atem b'deveikim b'Hashem b'lokeichem chayim kulchem hayom. That pasuk which says that you are clinging to Hashem but you're all alive. So he said kolomar. V'afal pi she'atem deveikim b'chavaya b'deveikus so that you actually are one with the Yudke Vavke. But even so, you're all still alive. You're going to remain alive. Below the shika, you're not going to be leaving this world with the death of a kiss. Because of the ability, that is the power that clinging to non-physicality offers. Similar to the 3 Chaverim. And that's it for today. Thank you for learning with me, Rabbi. And I'll see you, B'ez Hashem, tomorrow. Yeah.